Hey everybody, welcome back. Episode 18. We are still rolling strong. How has your week been, Mike?
My week's been pretty good. I actually had the first RCA they've hired at our office in about a year shadow me yesterday. So, been through orientation, driver training, and attends academy next week. So, um, that was kind of. I told him if anybody looks at you funny, just say, "Look, you're the first new hire we've had in about a year." So don't
They're looking
scare
at
them
him funny.
away.
Right?
They're looking at him funny because they don't know what to do because there's a new person on the floor.
Yeah, it's kind of like, crikey, there he is in his natural environment. So. But he's a veteran, and he said the same thing my last RCA said to me was that yeah, I intend to make a go of this, and if they want me out of here, they're going to have to fire me. It's like I don't intend on quitting. It's like okay, so let's hope that he makes it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope he makes it for you. That definitely would help. James, how was your week?
Oh, lots of fun. Got into a fight with the supervisor, solving that, and then dealing with carrier questions still over the rec system and helping people understand the stuff, which most people don't even understand as it is. And, trying to keep the peace and keep people from jumping the gun on things, so to speak. So it's been a lot of fun. I felt like I've been juggling about five swords, three chainsaws, and two flaming arrows at the same time.
I know that feeling. I do. I started OJTing one of the new RCAs this week, and I did it in the non-standard way, just for the fact that I was already scheduled to run this route through Wednesday, and I'm like, well, he's subbing on it, just throw him with me, we'll start training him. And they had been casing for about 3 days, so they were familiar with the case. So once he pulled down all by himself, he loaded the truck all by himself. We took DPS to the street, and he delivered the whole entire route Friday. Didn't want to take a
Good
break,
on him.
didn't want to switch seats, and we got back at, I don't know, about quarter after 5. So actually, that was really good.
We need to give
And
him a hand. Need to give
Yeah.
him a hand for that one, definitely.
yes,
Yeah. Well,
so
just for
Saturday,
perspective,
yeah,
how long would it take you to run just that route?
just that route on the day that we had the mail that we had on Friday, I probably would have been back around 3:30.
That's excellent.
Yep.
If he was
Yes,
only 2 hours behind, doing
yes,
most of the work himself,
yes.
that is
That,
excellent.
And
that is a
taking
round of
DPS to
applause.
the street too, first day out on the gate. So Saturday being, people's J Day, K days, I didn't have anybody to take the aux route for me. So because he did so well on Friday, I asked him, I said, would you be comfortable taking a portion of the route out on by yourself? And he's like, I think I could probably do that. I said, okay. I said, I'll let you choose what part of the route you want to take. Because the first half has, you're up and down US 23, and you've got several CBUs, which are still kind of confusing him a little bit. And then we got one condos where there's 10 buildings and four units per building, and they each have their own mailbox that are, you'll have 501 on top, 502 on the bottom, so each unit has its own mailbox. They're just in a big row grouped together. And so that kind of confused him a little bit. I got to teach him to look at the actual unit numbers and not the individual street address. But so he's like, well, I'll take that back end after all the CBUs. I said, that's fine. So I ran the front half and my aux route, and he was back and gone before I was. I got him out of the office. He was ready to hit the street about 5 minutes to 10, and the postmaster went out to check on him when she was leaving for the day, and he was probably within about a half hour had left of the route. If I was running it, about a half hour, so I would give him about 45 minutes left of the route to go at 1:45. She texted me and let me know where he was at, because I said, here's my phone number. If you need me, call me. He's like, oh, I'll probably call you. Never heard once from him. And I got back at 2:45, and he was done and gone, and the few things that he did bring back were already recased up.
Well, good on him.
Yeah. So,
That's a keeper.
we're giving him Monday
Ask him if
off.
he wants to move to a big city.
We're giving him Monday off, and Tuesday he's going to come back, and I'm going to have him run the whole route again on his own while I ride in the back on the jump seat. And due to the family stuff, he may just be completely on his own on Wednesday. So, but I think he will be fine. He's a keeper at this point. And then, not this week, but the following week, I'll start training the other one on the street. So that's been my week for the most part. And then we got another one in the pipeline coming down too. So I'll be busy training people for a little while. Josh, how was your week?
Well, for the most part, it was good until Thursday when the car I was using died. Apparently, the timing chain jumped and messed with the tensioner, and they're pretty sure there's internal engine damage, but the shop I got towed to didn't want to open it and look just in case, so they didn't extend the damage. So I got to get it towed to a shop that deals with engine repair, which was my sister-in-law's car, because my car, there was an issue with it back in, I think, November, December, and where the rod went through the block, and well, yeah, that needs a whole new engine.
Yeah, at that point you just get another car.
Well, I got
Not at today's prices.
Right?
Well,
Yeah, we get it.
fine-ish until, this past Thursday. The RCA that I did have that seemed pseudo-promising, other than them putting her on city routes, apparently I heard allegedly they let her go, partly because of a couple of things. One of which was no call, no show for Amazon Sunday at the hub station. So.
That's never good.
Nope.
Nope.
All right, Bill. Bill, the stage is yours.
I had a wonderful week. I mean, the weather was nice here. The management is outstanding. The carrier's dedication to being on the job on time every day is just wonderful. Life couldn't be any better. And when I get off the psychotropic drugs I'm on, I'll tell you the real story.
I was gonna say, it's amazing that you can speak so clearly with your tongue so deeply in your cheek.
It's nailed to the roof of my mouth right now. No, I want to thank Kristen for giving me the floor here. After the podcast on Wednesday, it's been bothering me. All the subject matter on Facebook groups, the Rural Carrier Associates, the Rural Carriers, the REX programs and everything. And this is my pet peeve about the union. Number one, most people don't understand how a union functions, and they think it's only there for them. It's for the whole. It protects the individual, but it's there for the whole. It's not for your benefits, not for my benefit. It's for the craft's benefit. Now, to start on my main grief about this is all the negative comments in regards to what's going on. If you are not in the union and you are on one of these websites, shut the hell up. If you don't register to vote, don't complain about the politicians. If you're not part of the union, then you're not part of the solution. And if you say nothing gets done, that's because you're not willing to put your ass out there like we do every week, every day. And some of us go further than we really need to, but we want to help you protect yourself. So if you don't have the money to pay the dues, then there's something wrong with your finances. And I understand there are situations where, single parents are out there, car repair bills, car replacement bills. I can understand that. But I don't want to hear you bitch about the union and the Recs and everything else until you become a functioning member of the union and work towards the betterment of the craft and your office and the union itself. Okay? So just shut the hell up. As far as the union members are concerned, we discussed resolutions. Now's the time to discuss your national delegates. Stop picking the names you know. If you have state people that are good, then elect them to go to this national convention. If you have a good ADR, elect them to go to the national convention. If you have an area or local steward, you can elect them. Elect yourself. Get people behind you. The thing of it is that as we were, Kristen and myself specifically, and Josh, on a previous podcast, we understood that you can't work from the outside. And that's why we didn't jeopardize our positions in the union by remaining with that podcast. You only can affect change from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can currently affect change is to get people who are at the national convention to vote along the lines that are similar to your views, what you see to be changed, what needs to be changed. And it doesn't have to be specifically geared towards your personal interests, but what's in your office, or how carriers are treated, or how management is disciplined, or how the contract is enforced. Vote for people who are going to represent the views of the craft. Ballots will be mailed out soon. You'll be able to elect these people, vote for these people, and then your state, whichever state you're living in, based on the number of employees, will get a percentage of them to send to the national convention. Don't send people who are just names to you. And for God's sakes, don't vote for retirees who have no interest in what your job is and hasn't been for the past 10 years. There are some retirees in Pennsylvania. We have Wild Bill McGinley, who every year at every convention, at every regional convention and seminar, turns around and rents out a room, aka suite, and puts up a dry erase board or even a flip chart for all the things to be addressed. Now, there's somebody I can be supportive of.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them are there for free vacations. They go see their friends from yesteryear. They have no horse in the race except for a vacation, and to support those who grant them the vacations. Put people in power who represent the people, and vote the people in power out who represent themselves. Has anybody noticed that since I brought to light the LM2s years ago, that all of a sudden the national board stopped spending $8,000 for mattress sets, $3,100 for personal desk, or $1,300 for a pellet grill?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody noticed that, if you look into their time and their leave and all that, which came up the question last time at Texas, that all of a sudden, maybe we should get paid at a higher rate. I'm requesting from our current secretary treasurer the payoff figures for Clifford and David, because you're going to sit there and piss yourselves when you see a $500,000 payout for somebody who's had accumulated almost 300 days of leave at $500+ a day. And y'all voted for it because he made it sound like such a sweet deal for the craft. Well, for the union per se, because we can't afford to carry over all this debt that we are going to owe in the future. So let's bump the money up and pay most of it out now. I want to see those figures because, boys and girls, most of those people on the national board, except for the newly elected ones, are millionaires, multi-millionaires off of your dimes. And I'm sick and tired of it. That's my rant. That's my rave. I'm done.
Thank you, Bill. I know you had some, but yeah, it's, and I give you, I second on Wild Bill there. I got a nice little fist bump from him after walking out of the caucus room he was in, when I did my little caucus tour. Not all retirees are there for a party. There are some that are still very active and wanting to help the craft, but that number is not as high as, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, you have to consider when my state sends 26% of its delegates as retirees to the national convention, something's wrong. Something's very wrong.
Yeah, it's and I noticed, I wasn't sure if I was going to say this, but along the lines of Bill's thing there, at the end of the resolutions episode this past week, I had told everybody, do your homework and go download those convention proceedings and give them a read, because you could download 2022 and 2019. It was locked out yesterday, the convention proceedings, when I went to go in there and pull up 2019's. So
I've got all the hard copies.
I do have 2022's downloaded, and I think I had a hard copy of 2019 in it one time, but through moving and everything, it may probably disappeared on me. So yeah, as of last night, it was locked out. I haven't tried it today, so unless they're updating the website again, just putting it out there that it was.
I just tried to pull it up, and it's not letting me in either.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I was just gonna look for it.
So if you're listening, guys, hi. How you doing? Yeah, on that note, so kind of a little bit of I think we're going to kind of do a little bit of a round table tonight. Everybody can pick the topic they want to discuss. I know we've had some questions in the Facebook groups. We've had emails that we've been answering. James, what was the big one? End of shift duties. I know I've seen a lot of. Was that the one you wanted to talk about tonight?
Yeah, this is a big one, and I actually just recently saw another post about it, about postmasters telling people that they can't do do more than 5 minutes at the end of shift duties and stuff like that, and it's not right. It is incorrect. They are instructing you improperly. The PO 603 is the defining regulation for postal carriers in the rural craft. It's the rural carrier duties and responsibilities. And for that, there is section 4 of the PO 603 that tells you all of your end of shift duties and everything you need to do at the end of your shift. And of course, it's been updated a little bit with the rec stuff to add the DPM and LTM systems, but there is so many different things you have to do at the end of your shift, and I'm trying to actually pull it up right now as I'm talking about it, that, you have to do multiple different things to cover your end of shift duties as a carrier. You have to put your times on your 4240, which is your time record. If your PM or your supervisor is putting in the times from your scanner and not putting them in from your 4240, they're doing it wrong. If you took breaks, at this time is when you write down the entire accrued time of your breaks on your 4240. You know, route changes like your edit book, affixing postage to mail that you picked up postage for on the route, part of your stamp stock sales. You would not put it on the envelope on the route. You would save it for your end of shift duty and put it on in the office. Facing and depositing mail where it belongs, if you do that. Undeliverable ordinary mail returned from route, casing the mail that you bring back to the office, or depositing it where it belongs. Like if you take DPS to the street, like Kristen's new sub was doing, taking the DPS to the street, at that time you would put it where it belongs. You'd put away your certifieds, your accountable mail would have to go in its place. Any money that you picked up on the route would have to be properly taken care of. Hang on.
Empty equipment, putting it back
Make
away.
sure you put your empty equipment away. Your like I said, your edit book is another one. Your DPM and LTM mapping is part of your end of shift duties. Doing your case labels when you get new labels for your case, that is an end of shift duty. Maintaining your case, putting up your PARS labels, however you do your forwards in your case, whether you put them on the forward card or you put the name on the case with the label maker, all of that stuff is part of your end of shift duties. Taking your bathroom is an end of shift duty. Emptying your bladder when you get back from the route is part of your end of shift duty. Both the management side and the union side's paperwork all say that bathrooms are not a lunch break.
Yep.
Going to the bathroom is federally required to be paid. And both the union and the post office have put that in their quick reference guides and their other materials that involve recs and all this other stuff.
And if I could interject, there's also a step 4 grievance settlement that says that as well to back that up.
Exactly. So there's all other paperwork that backs it up as well. The other thing talks with management. If management wants to have an investigative interview, or if they want to issue discipline, or if you have to file a grievance, that is an end of shift duty on the end of shift clock. You don't go into anything else, just your return to DU and start doing all this work. Once you get done with all of that, then you can either go into PM casing or clock out. But you have to do all of this before you switch to PM casing or clock out for the day. This is time on your evaluation. This gets averaged out over the year, but this is your time to be put on your evaluation. And if you aren't doing these things on the end of your shift, you're leaving money on the table for the post office. And that is my opinion. I can only give you my opinion here. I don't represent anybody, but I want you guys to succeed rural carrier to rural carrier here. Even if you are, I'm going to kind of step aside here and say, even if you are a non-dues paying member, you are still my brother or sister in the craft. You still need to do this stuff. You still need to learn this stuff. You still need to know about this stuff. And I understand some people cannot afford it. I know that If I was in a different situation than I am right now, I might not be able to afford it. I mean, cost of cars alone, we just talked about that previously with Chris when other people were talking. The cost of cars has gone so high that maybe some people could go, well, I that $32 or $32 I pay the union or whatever you pay the union would be better spent on me being able to afford to get to my postal job because I'm on table 2, step 1, lost a lot of money from my RCA days, and now I'm a regular carrier and can't afford some of the luxuries I used to have when I was an RCA. But we're all in this together, and everything we can learn from each other through whatever means possible to stick together is the best way we can do this. And learning all the duties, all the scans, use the aftermath and carrier discretion for ideas of what you can do for those, as well as your end of shift duties. Everything you can do that is listed in our paperwork to help your evaluation, you need to be doing. It's no longer, oh, well, we have this 2-week count where everything that gets counted matters, and the rest of the year we can just do whatever we want. Every day now matters what you do. Every scan matters. Every input matters. And everything you do on straight time matters. So make sure you are figuring out what you need to do to help yourself. Because your casemate may be able to give you an opinion, but it is, of course, carrier discretion on their route, what they want to do. And supposedly, we can figure this out together. Sorry, I had to throw the 2 drinking game words in there. And
All right.
I'll
Double
throw the floor back to you.
Okay, now there's another thing that was brought up is we have, especially, and I know I hear similar in my office, especially with the one route that lost the most, the coverage factor. I get this, so I'm only going to deliver at 68% of my route, and I'm done, because that's all they say that I deliver. There are carriers out there saying, well, if I don't have DPS, I'm not stopping, even if a flag's up or they have flats. Your coverage factor is based off of more than just DPS. It's also based off of the breadcrumbs in the scanner. And is there one more thing, guys?
Your
The
digitally processed nonlinear mail.
Yes. So, don't just deliver what you have DPS for. That is not going to help you out one bit. I've also seen carriers saying, well, I'm going to stop at every box. Well, that's up to you. Again, that's your carrier discretion. Flag is up. My
postmaster said that if she catches carriers doing that when there's not a flag up or mail being delivered, and my postmaster does do route inspections, and she catches you doing that, she will immediately remove you from the route for falsifying data. There's management that will do that to you. They will come out and they inspect your route, and if they see you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, they could immediately remove you from the route for a gross violation. And then the union stewards have to step up for that.
That being in an emergency placement for that,
it's a felony.
Yeah.
You're falsifying a government document. That's a felony.
Yeah. Guys, just do your job.
So are integrity scans, okay?
Yes.
Integrity scans are falsifying, and they do that every day.
Yes. As National has stated in the past at conferences and conventions, integrity scans are not a thing, but management still tries to make them a thing. But what I'm going to tell you guys is the flag is up, stop at the box. If you have flats, stop at the box, not just if you have DPS. Come on, guys. Just all I'm going to say is just do your jobs the way you've always done your job. You might have a few extra scans to put in there with a few extra trips to doors or a postage due or, something of that. But when it comes to just tossing the mail, do it the same way you've always done it. Where some of these numbers, I mean, again, until they actually give us the black and white data, I mean, we don't even have the answers for what this stuff is. Unfortunately. And it's, it affects us just as much as the rest of you guys out there. So please, if a flag is up, stop at the box. If, they have flats but no DPS, deliver the flats. I mean, I, for one, am not wanting to track that shit all the way back to the office with me and having to recase it, hoping they have DPS the next day. No, just deliver the mail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
That's also delaying the mail too. That's delaying the mail.
Exactly.
which is another offense.
Yep.
Um,
And let me put this out there about that coverage factor. That coverage factor is, yes, based on digitally processed mail. That includes the NLM mail that comes in the little bundles and stuff like that. But it is not all the mail that you are counted for that day. You are also counted for your factor from the mini mail survey for the raw mail each day. You're also factored for the flats. You're factored for everything that's on your 4241M is factored in for that day. So even though you may not have the coverage factor that you're actually delivering, it's factored in elsewhere on your 4241M. So saying that the coverage factor is the basis of how much money you get paid to deliver the mail on the route is completely false, because it's factored in elsewhere on your 4241M. Just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. We pride ourselves about giving a damn about our customers and making sure our customers get the best service possible. The management above our postmasters, and maybe some of our postmasters, probably doesn't give a damn about the customers. They just care about the numbers on a spreadsheet because that's all they see. They don't come out to the field and meet the customers that meet us every day at the mailbox and say, "Hi, how you doing? Are you staying cool on a hot day? Are you staying warm on a cold day?" kind of thing. They aren't out there checking on us and making sure that our customers are being treated with dignity and respect like we treat them with.
Right.
It's our job to take care of our people.
Yeah. I just don't get this. And I saw some people trying to justify this on social media, going back to my coverage factor is only 75%, so I'm only going to cover 75% of my route, or deliver 75% of my route, or I'm not going to pick up outgoing mail. Folks, I just don't get why. I get why people are upset about their evaluations. Believe me, I understand, and there's a lot of stuff going on with this. But why the hell are you wanting to take this out on your customers? Why the hell are you going to make them suffer? Because we're having this battle with the post office right now.
Definitely not the customer's fault.
It's not their fault. In fact, if people stop sending mail, we wouldn't. It's one of those old things. If people stop sending mail, we wouldn't have a job, and then where would we be? But
we can't depend on Amazon.
Can't. No, they could decide. They could form a partnership with. I mean, they're doing their own now, but they could form some partnership. They could buy out FedEx or UPS or DHL or somebody, and all of a sudden, all that Amazon would go away. Then where would we be?
Temu.
Yeah, Temu. Oh my god. it's funny because I right before the Super Bowl, I started seeing ads. I started getting stuff from Temu in my parcels, and then they had an ad on the Super Bowl. I thought, I'm already starting to see that stuff.
Oh yeah,
And don't forget about Wish and Alibaba.
Is
Well,
Wish still a thing?
I think Temu
A
kind
little
of took
bit.
over
I still see
Wish,
ads
but
for them.
yeah, you still. I still get those little tiny little packets once in a great while, but yeah, Temu. That's always the thing is your Amazon queens. All of a sudden, your next thing you know, they discovered Temu. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna throw in a quote.
Talking about that, I had a
Professional.
box from them that was like 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet the other day. Like, I didn't know they had anything that large.
I actually saw a box. I was like, really? They use boxes? Everything else comes in the poly bags. But go ahead, Mike. Finish what you were saying.
No, I was just saying just to finish up my thought. There's I don't remember which team he coached for, but a professional basketball coach. One of his big things to his players, and one of the things he always just stressed is just do your job. That's it. That's all we can ask from each other is just do your job and have some integrity. That's it.
And if I
I
can
agree.
go back to my original rant in
Yes.
regards to the non-union paying members, folks, you have to realize that being my shop steward, that in March of 2021, I started monthly reminders to start scanning, start recording, doing everything that they were supposed to. We had the handouts back then before management was even aware of it. So
Mhm.
you had a 2-year lead in on this situation coming to head. And I explained the importance of this to you. And here's the thing about the non-union members that I provided information for, because okay, they bid on a route and they get it, and somebody comes in behind them who's a union member, and they have no clue whether or not these people had the information to do all their scans that they should have been doing for over 2 years, and whether or not the route is properly evaluated. So I wanted to make sure every carrier in our office had the opportunity to maximize their paycheck, to make sure they were getting paid for everything they were doing. And yet, union or non-union individuals were crying about the 6 scans. Folks, the 6 scans was the minimal view that you should have had in regards to your evaluation. It's only worth 5 seconds.
It's the bare minimum for your evaluation.
Yes. There you go.
So don't tell me about the 6 scans. Don't tell me about not putting the WSH or the WSS in there, or the box holders or anything else. I purposely held up my wallet and the scanner and told them, if it goes in here, you get it in your wallet. If you don't put it in the scanner, you're not getting paid. You can't make it any simpler than that.
You're giving the money back to the post office is what you're
Oh
doing.
yeah, and they're gladly taking it too.
All right. We had a question come on Messenger yesterday. I believe it's on the 4241M. I didn't have one in front of me to look it up. But they want an explanation on the OOR, out of route drive walk.
I got that.
All right, go ahead.
Of course I do. Yeah. So the OOR, out of route, is 100% your delivery to the door. It is your time. It's your drive time from your mailbox to your park point, and then it's your walk time from your park point straight line to the door point you plotted. And the drive time is through the speed matrix, the distance from the mailbox to your park point, and then standard walk time from the park point to the door and back. That's all it is. That is your out of route part of that. So you are getting paid to drive to your park point. You are getting paid to walk from your park point to your front door.
And then
That's what it is.
I'm going to add, because another thing that seems to be very popular, when you're scanning parcels, there are 3 different credits for the parcels based on where you deliver. You have in the box, parcel locker, and to the door. Now the big question arises on garage, other location, front desk, etc. Anything outside of to the door, parcel locker, or mailbox gives you to the door credit. So the delivered in person, whether they met you out at the mailbox or halfway up the driveway, if you delivered at the garage or at another location because they requested it to be dropped around the back door or put in a bin that they have because of the weather, or they don't want people coming up to the door. I know I've got a few of those. Those all give you to the door credit on where you pinpointed the door during your mapping.
It's a straight line credit to the door, even if you walk to the side of the house to the garage or
Yep.
something like that.
Yes. Wherever you pinpointed the door. So if you pinpointed the garage as the door, because that's where you drop everything off at, then everything that's outside of the 3 basic ones all goes to that point. Wherever you pinpointed that location as your main drop-off spot.
Yeah, that's a lot of. There's a lot of, like we said in the aftermath and carrier discretion. It's all supposedly designed to maximize the credits you receive in your scanner, but we haven't seen the numbers for it. And I went through my 4241M and added it all up, and I don't have all the calculations for it. And I found discrepancies here and there and everywhere in it, just like everybody else has. And the problem to me is we need the numbers. I need the equations, and I need the numbers that make those equations. And they aren't giving those to me. That is my biggest problem with this. If you can turn around and show me exactly how you calculated this out and show me all the numbers that went into it, I'd be perfectly happy saying, okay, yeah, I guess because of this volume right here, I deserve to lose 2 hours. But I can't say, yeah, that volume's not there anymore. I can't compare my mail numbers with the rec system to my 2018 count. I can't compare how much my DPS has gone down or gone up. Can't tell whether my flats have gone down or gone up. Can't tell if my packages have gone down or gone up. I have to trust that somebody up at National or in some computer lab in the basement, chewing on Cheetos, has determined that that's the mail volume I actually got for the year. I need proof. I want the truth. And
You can't handle the truth.
Exactly. I was hoping somebody would step up and say that. But that's the key, is we need transparency. We need somebody to step up and say, here's what you want. Here's what you need to do your calculations yourself. When we did the mail counts in 2018, everything was cut, dried right in front of our faces. And we don't get that here. We need proof. I'm a guy of truth, honesty, paperwork. Show me it in writing. When my PM asks me to do something, I say, show it to me in writing. Everything needs to be in writing for me, because in the end, I want the proof that that's what it is. If I don't have the proof of that's what it is, this doesn't mean anything to me. You could put anything you want on it. But if you could show me, hey, all all this correlates to this, correlates to this, correlates to this, I'm more apt to believe you. Anybody agree, disagree?
Also, I'm gonna
I,
add
I,
on.
I do agree with you.
I'm gonna add on because this has been another hot topic on the social medias. Logging in under the city carrier side and looking at the "How am I doing" option.
Yep.
The "How am I doing" option on the city side has absolutely nothing to do with the rural side. Therefore, is not going to be a reflection of what you're doing that day. It is not a rural side program. It's specifically for the city side and is not an accurate measure of anything based on rural.
I think we should reach out to, if any of our city carrier brethren and sisters have how that's figured out for them and can get it to us, how that actually works for them, we'd appreciate that information so we can actually pass it on to our rural carrier brothers and sisters. Because I would love to know how their program works.
I mean, I have seen city carriers go into it and it has hard braking and fast acceleration and they're on a walking route. and they got flagged with hard braking and fast acceleration and they're walking.
Well, that's what I was trying to.
Well,
Take away their jetpacks.
That's when I was trying to get away from the Chihuahua. That's the fast acceleration.
Yeah.
or
The
say,
German
and
Shepherd
I
jumped the
looked
fence and
once-
came after me.
I
Where your
looked once
satchel and
under
dog
that,
spray come in.
and the parcel count from there and in the review my entries, and then I forget there was one other spot that you can look. I can't remember where it is now that I actually looked that up. Had 3 different numbers for the parcel count.
Yep,
Granted,
because the review
entries is all scans, pickups, drop-offs, carrier pickup requests.
manifest forms,
Right. So,
anything you scan. If you scan the red plum scan there at the beginning of the week, that goes in there too.
right. That's what I'm saying. So, I know that number will be, on a day-to-day basis, will be a few off, but and like I said,
And
I
if
can't
you're
remember where
using
the
the load
third
truck.
place. Well,
Load truck
in my
actually goes in there too.
Just
didn't
the
realize,
actual
I don't use it, but
not for
that
anything
function's
else.
turned off in my scanner right now. So along with the look ahead. So not that I usually use either of those options anyway, but I'm going to say segueing from what you were saying about in writing. We had someone message us earlier today, and I told them that I would bring it up on our panel this evening just to make sure that I told them correctly. They were inquiring about the signing the guarantee for 2080 with the high option. If it means anything other than if you are eligible and have the option of the high-low option, that you have to sign that guaranteeing that you will take enough annual leave to stay under 2080 to take the high option. Am I correct on that? That's the only thing that represents, that you're signing that you will take enough leave to stay under 2080 hours to allow you to take that high option if you're eligible and it's an option for you from the way your route ended up.
I do believe that is correct. Bill?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah,
I said,
that's the way
I was 98% sure, but I wanted to make sure that I did not give the incorrect information to this person, and I told them I would make sure we discussed it this evening.
I would add to that is you would take enough leave, whether it be annual leave or leave without pay. They will make you take days off without pay to stay under 2080.
And not that I would condone it, but I know people have used sick leave to accomplish that same.
Yeah, that's
That's
great.
Carrier
I don't
discretion.
management
Carrier
discretion.
discretion.
Carrier
Nope, that was-
discretion.
No, that's manager's
Supposedly.
discretion on the sick leave.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Well, hold on. You're talking about doing the jobs the way we're supposed to do the jobs and being honest and forthwith, and then you throw out carrier discretion all the time. If you don't take it to the door, then you shouldn't be putting it as to being delivered to the door.
Correct.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, I say be
you're-
honest
you're-
in your stance.
your breadcrumbs will actually change over time, depending on the footprint of where you're delivering it.
And where you're scanning it, that includes if you're one of those that scans it in the truck.
Oh God, yeah, please.
That was fun mapping. I had one carrier, and I knew exactly where she parked every time because that's where she scanned the package. I looked at her and I said, "You're scanning in the truck, aren't you?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Stop."
Supposedly, that the geofence of where you park the vehicle, in a lot of cases, would be by the mailbox. So it's going to recognize that you are at the mailbox when you scanned it delivered.
What's
You know,
some
how
other ones we
accurate that
came
is or
across
not,
this
I
week?
don't know. But
And remember, management has the discretion to go out and do route inspections at any time that they feel like it. Now, you should be observant on your route, and of course, you should be doing your job right the whole time, but you should know when they're following you around and watching what you're doing. And there has actually been no instance where a manager has been following a carrier around and they've called the police on them and the manager got upset about it. You're actually protecting the mail, calling on the manager following you around.
I've heard of customers calling, going, "Why is that car following you?"
Yeah.
You know, it happens. I mean, usually I'm not going to say usually, but yes, they are entitled to do route observations. I had
and
one.
especially if
I
it's-
had a funny time. I knew she was out doing observations that week, and I didn't recognize the car she was driving. And I had a package to deliver, and she was parked in the driveway of the house I needed to deliver the package, and I walked up to the car thinking it was the customer. And she just laughed along with me on that one. But yeah, they can definitely anytime. So
and it doesn't necessarily have to be your local management. It could be management
Yep.
from a nearby office.
I've
It could
known
be
of
somebody
somebody
from district.
yeah, it could be somebody from district. I know somebody my old office, they let us know that safety was out and about and would be inspecting routes and stuff too. We didn't know who it was or what the car looked like, but we were aware that safety would be following us around.
Could be inspectors too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was just gonna say that because I had a little run-in with them years ago, and ended up sending one of them to the doctor's, the hospital, to get stitches in his head.
Holy cow!
Whoops.
Oh, well, I came out of this business where I went in and brought a tub in with the mail and collected the tub that they had there. And as I come out, there's this guy going around the side of my truck, and checking the door. And he didn't have any. I couldn't see any ID from the behind, so I ran up. I jammed him head first right into the frame of the door where the mirrors were. Put a clef in his forehead, had him on the ground, and here's this other guy getting out of the car with a gun pulled. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck did I just do? Here was a postal inspector checking to see if the vehicle was secure. I'm like, shit.
Was it secure?
Did you get accommodation for that?
No, the postmaster said, why didn't you challenge him first? I says, I don't give you that opportunity. It's not in my training, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a laugh for about a year and a half in my office. Don't go near Bill's truck.
Jug-
Oh, he was nice enough about it. You know, he says, it's the first time that's ever happened to me. And I said, well, me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
job-
right.
No.
Yeah, our job here is to invigorate you and make you care about your job more than you already do.
Yeah.
We want you to care about what you do and where you're going in this job, because now it's up to you how this job takes care of you. And we want you to succeed just as much as we want to succeed ourselves. Some of us lost money, some of us gained money, some of us stayed the same. But we're all here for you, to give you the hand up in your career here in the rural craft. So
Yeah.
anything we can do to help you, let us know. Because we don't care if you're in Michigan or North Carolina or Florida, South Dakota, North Dakota, or even Hawaii. We're here for you guys.
Or Puerto Rico. Let's not forget about our carriers down there.
And our carriers in Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories, as well as our carriers that serve our military bases.
Yep.
I want the rural route in Guam.
Guam is good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Except for
that's-
between
That's why we're so passionate. That's why we're so passionate. That's why we bring our attitudes and our extreme voices to this, is because we care. No matter where you are on the chain, whether you are a current rural carrier or even a retired carrier, you're still a rural carrier to us. And we may say things that upset you, but we hope you take that anger that you get from us upsetting you and put it towards bettering the craft. Because that's
Yeah.
what this whole thing is about, bettering the craft.
Exactly. I mean, we all don't agree with each other all the time, but we know that we're all in this together for everybody. And, you know, that's exactly what we're trying to do, and to get, you know, be active. If you are, you know, you're questioning everything, be active. You know, even if you can't go to the conferences and the convention, you can still vote for those delegates that are going to represent you. And like Bill stated earlier, and I've stated it in past episodes, do your homework on those nominees. Because, you know, that's where the votes come in on the floor, are those delegates that you send to convention. Those are the people that are casting that vote on your behalf for national officers, for resolutions. You know, they're the ones that are up there objecting to resolutions to get clarification, or say, no, this won't help, or yes, this will help, or, you know, they're the ones arguing at the microphone over resolutions. You know, they're the ones voting for national officers. They're the ones that are sitting on a Thursday night during caucus till 10, 11 o'clock at night, listening to every one of those people, candidates that are running for office. And trust me, Thursday nights are rough.
Oh.
I have sat through caucuses as a delegate, as an alternate delegate, and I have walked through caucus as a candidate. Thursday nights are brutal. You know, and that's, you know, I'm going to put this out here on, you know, yes, the pictures that you see that are posted on social media, the banquet, and everybody sitting together at night drinking and laughing and the partying. You know, yeah, they put those ones out there because it's showing everybody having a good time. But that's our way of relaxing after we've been on a convention room floor,
for the day.
winding down after a brain meld of business. I mean, I go home after a week at convention more exhausted than I was, you know, working 60 hours a week during Christmas as the only RCA in the building, because it's a mental overload.
How many times during convention did we break for the or when we finished for the evening, where all the food places at the convention site closed?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's a good thing I had some stuff to eat in my room, because otherwise I wouldn't have had anything to eat until the next morning at breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I had a room full of first timers with me at convention this last year, and one of the reasons why I drove, and those that helped me unload my car and take everything up to the room. I mean, I had coolers, I had bags and boxes of snacks, and coolers of stuff, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. But you know, to just because you're not necessarily going to have a meal when you get done. And Friday nights, the last night. Yeah. I'm at Grand Rapids, went until it was just 9:00 at night by the time we got out of there, because you go until you're done. You know,
and the other thing is the site they had in Orlando didn't allow for outside food deliveries.
Yeah.
So you couldn't call up a DoorDash or Grubhub or the local pizza joint and have something dropped off. You had to buy stuff from their from their food court. Or whatever,
or go off site if you had a car, to go get food. I mean, we did that one night. We went to Wawa to get some food. You know,
Wawa. Yeah.
But yeah, it's you don't have that luxury everywhere you go, of being able to order in, or so yeah, you take stuff, and it's. Yeah, that's what they post. They post the pictures of everybody having a good time, because that's what they want to portray, is we're all having a great time here. And I get the animosity you get from others saying you're just going to party. The after parties is the wind down. Trust me, that is the wind down from the brain melt of the day.
I'm going to just say this. From the state convention that I went to, my butt was sore after that one.
Josh,
and that wasn't even as long as national.
Josh compared national to state on steroids.
Yeah. I seen the times you guys were talking online and stuff about it, and I'm going, you guys are just getting out of that?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh hell! And then after that, you spend 2 hours carousing in a bar or outside, just still talking to people. I mean, then you're getting up at 6 a.m. Trying to get a shower with 3 other people in the room. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, Kristen.
But yeah, no, it is long days. It is definitely it is long, tiring days, and it's as a delegate you get mounds of paperwork to go through, resolutions. I mean, you go back to your rooms and you're going through resolutions together. You're because you got to read through those before they actually do them on the floor, because if not, you're just going, huh?
That's exactly why my resolution failed at national last year, because it was so long. People went, this is too long, skip, next one.
Yeah.
That's and you're just talking about people who are going just as a delegate. Think about the people who go and have special assignments.
Yeah.
My state president was on the appeals committee.
Yeah.
And he went early, a couple days early, and he had just one checked bag that was all the paperwork he had to do for the appeals committee.
Yeah.
Because they had all those appeals that they had to adjudicate.
Well, yeah, you get everybody, the resolutions committee, the teller committees, all those people come in early so they can get their training and get their instructions before they're actually on the floor having to do what they have to do.
Especially for the national officers votes, voting for our national officers, he wasn't even, I think he missed half of them because he still had work to do with the appeals committee.
Mm-hmm.
and so he had to, you know, I don't remember how we did it, but yeah. So, you know, I know most union conventions are portrayed as big parties, but this, you know, there is actual work that gets done. This is, you know, when we say, you know, you complain about this or that with the union, are you just going to complain about it on social media, or are you going to, you know, especially if you're a member of the union, are you going to get involved? Find out how to write a resolution and send it up through your state. If you don't know how, find somebody who does.
Yep.
And draft them together. One of our supporters here just had her county meeting, and how many resolutions did she say she took? Like 7,
Something like that. Yeah.
something 7 or 8 that she took the time to write out and you know, and take to the floor of her meeting to try to make change. You know,
And that's what we need right there.
Yeah,
That's
being a
what we need.
being a keyboard warrior is not going to cut it. And that kind of gets me to the thing I want to rant about is everybody's saying, well, the way to show our disapproval of what's going on with this is to drop out of the.
That's the worst thing you can do.
That we're going to show the big wigs that enough of us drop out, that if the dues dry up and they can't get their 6-figure salary, then they'll start to pay attention to us. It's like, no, you just make us weaker. You just give them less of a voice. That gives that, you know, then they have to, you know, what salaries are they going to cut? What are they going to start cutting at headquarters? Are they going to start, you know, are they going to have to make cuts to the legislative liaison office? Are they going to, you know, what are they going to do?
They're going to have to cut their
Raiders
assistant
office.
staffing. You know, the
Yep.
normal staffing, the outside employees that are staff at the office. You know,
The people
Those
who
people are-
fight for us in arbitration.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The people who can make change in arbitration could be cut because we lost union dues.
I mean, and if you have to start eliminating staff at the office, well, now you're putting even more onto that national board member who is at that office every day. Now they're having to answer their own phone calls. They're having to answer, and you might not hear back even longer because they don't have the staff to research that question and pass on or answer that phone or any of those. No, you know, putting the files together. I mean, you're looking at even longer days. You're looking at even more work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just.
And even if you think them answering that phone every time you call is a benefit to the union, if they're working on your project and then somebody else calls in and they have to say, well, I'm working on this one project, I'll get to yours as soon as I can. How many projects are they going to have to stack up while they're working on the one project for another carrier? Or how many projects are going to get shuffled into the pile and not taken care of for a couple of years because they're now a one-man show working on it when they used to have 5 people working on different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The union
trickles down.
The union is us. The union is everybody. It doesn't matter if you are dues paying or non-dues paying. We are all the Rural Carriers Union. We are all the voice of reason in our offices. We are the voice of the contract. We are the voice of the rules and regulations of the post office in our office. It is our job as rural carriers to stand up for this craft. And I don't care if you are a non-dues paying member. If you see management doing something wrong, correct it. And if you can't get it corrected, grieve it. It doesn't matter if you're dues paying or non-dues paying. As a union steward, the union steward is supposed to defend you as if you are a dues paying member, even if you're a non-dues paying member. And if they're not doing that, then you report it to their assistant district rep or your district rep, or even higher up than that. But start at the lowest level. You want to solve everything at the lowest level. It's the same with grievances. You solve grievances at the lowest level possible.
Or if
But
you
you
can,
need to doing start doing your research, start learning your craft, and excel at your craft. That's the only way we can keep going forward with this, is if everyone starts looking and excelling at their craft.
and sometimes you can resolve a situation without before even having to file a grievance. Not in all situations and not with all management. But there are times and there are situations to where things can be resolved without having to go through that grievance process.
For example,
Yeah,
tomorrow morning, every regular carrier and every sub's getting a copy of why you don't work off the clock. Because we had 3 instances of it this weekend. And I'm going to write down all the names and have them initial that they received a copy of it. So that when this happens again and somebody files a grievance and I go under a class action against management, I have the ammunition to say, they're aware of this, you're aware of this, prosecute it.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Oh, it doesn't hurt my evaluation. Yes, it does.
It does.
Oh, it doesn't matter to anybody else. Yes, it does. Because the person who might bid on your route when you bid off of it or when you retire or when you quit is going to be pissed as hell that they're a H42 instead of a J45.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you can eliminate that situation before it becomes a grievance, then do so. Always take it and settle it before it becomes a grievance, if possible.
well, if they're a J45, they would be a K42 when they move to that route.
Or
Not if
41,
they're on
depending.
table 1,
Close
40
enough.
table 2.
Yeah, 41.
41, 42, somewhere in that.
Depending
If
on the
they're,
standard
yeah.
hours, yes.
yeah, depending on the standard hours. But yeah. And that's the thing, is working off the clock. I'm going to say this. My route stayed the same. Now, for some ungodly reason that I can't calculate out in this 4241M, I know that I've been working close to my evaluation every single day, not by choice, but by mail volume and package volume and things like that. And my times were practically standard, except Mondays, of course, the heaviest day of the week. My times were pretty much fluidly near the same time every day, and I came back at the same time. Another carrier I know who works off the clock, even comes in on their day off, went down because he works off the clock. There is a reason why working off the clock is bad for you, not just on your evaluation. It's also illegal. Management allowing you to do it is illegal.
And if something was to happen,
Yep.
if you were to if you were to get injured at work while off the clock, OWCP will not cover you.
Yep. So if you grab a stack of let's say you're casing your marriage mail for the week. You're casing it so you can deliver it that day off the clock. And you pick up one of those bundles and you pull a muscle in your back. Guess what? If you were on the clock, that'd be a workplace injury. But because you were off the clock, it's not a workplace injury.
Yep.
Therefore, you don't get the coverage of light duty at the post office. There is no light duty for rural carriers unless you're injured on the job.
Still limited duty.
There's
There's no light duty at all for rural side. Just limited.
I'm just saying.
And limited
That's
is
what I meant.
Yeah, and limited is only for workplace injury.
Yep. And if you're working off the clock and get injured, you don't get that coverage.
All right, here's another example of how working off the clock affects you whether you think it does or not. During the arbitration where we got RX, they changed the DPS standards
Yes.
to, was it from 30 pieces up to 42 or 20 something pieces, up to 42 a minute.
Now it's
43.
80, 43. Now it's 86. Which is ridiculous.
I'd
Oh,
like
yeah.
to see Dr. Miracle do 86 a minute,
Right?
even after a month.
I still want to know how a stop sign is only half a second when almost every single, well, the uniform transportation code says you need to stop at a stop sign for a minimum of 2 seconds.
Because that's, and I found out the reasoning on this one was that they did that because most rural carriers don't even stop that long. But if they didn't put that figure in there, then they would be condoning rural carriers to drive recklessly. So they had to cover their asses. That's what I found out.
Okay.
It's still more than half a second.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a carrier we call Jet, and there's a reason why we call him Jet.
Yeah, we have one. I think it's a race between two of our carriers on who gets back the quickest. And I still, the one gets up that they got back before I did. But I don't get, it's not a race, guys. It is not a race.
Yeah, we had one of my coworkers, one of the other carriers in my office, bragged that she had the highest drive speed of anybody in the office.
Yeah, that's just cutting money out of your pocket. But the drive speed on the 4240 is actually, or 4241 is based on your line of travel and the distance between your stops. So having the highest speed is not a benefit to you.
You have to know her to appreciate the humor there.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
she has a lead foot.
Yeah,
and it's always that one that the truck is in getting brakes done more often than the rest of them because you're like, how the hell are they getting through that route so fast? Well, there's a reason why that truck's in the shop all the time.
They melted the brakes to the rotors.
Yeah.
Well, we had one girl that used to be so fast, and whenever they put the jump seat in, we would give somebody a neck brace to go with them.
Oh yeah.
And they'd look at it and they'd say, well, this is to prevent the whiplash.
I have learned how to brace myself very well in the jump seat lately.
I put 1 foot on the wall, 1 foot on the tray stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of I got short legs, so I'm usually holding up between the two, between the door and the frame on the other side. Like, okay, I'm braced now.
Yeah.
We actually had a ride along that didn't, brace herself, and the guy hit the brakes and she come flying over the dash all the way up to the windshield.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord, let me tell you,
There's
that one did not go over well.
There's seat belts for a reason.
Yeah, well, she was a little big to fit in the seatbelt.
All right, on that note, guys, since we're going to wind it down, so we're not going too far over tonight, your final thoughts for the evening there, Josh?
Just keep it on. Do what you're supposed to do. Scan what you can legitimately take credit for. Try not to get overwhelmed. If you do, take a step back in, or take a breath, then step back in. Have a good week.
Mike, your final commentary for this evening.
We've been saying it here, and we've alluded to it a lot in previous podcasts, and James has been talking a lot about it tonight. But we all got to stand with each other, stand with and for each other. I said a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. The very first Postmaster of the United States, Postmaster General of the United States, Benjamin Franklin, said it best. We have to all hang together, for we will assuredly hang separately. So let's all hang together.
All right, James, your turn.
The biggest thing you can take away from these podcasts is the motivation to do better at our craft. And like Mike said, we're in this together. Thick or thin, high evaluation, low evaluation, it doesn't matter. We are all one craft, one group, brothers and sisters, fighting for the same thing, which is fair pay at a good job, at a good benefits job. And we need you to step up with us and be part of the change this union needs, the change the union wants, and be that member that takes the time to understand how to better themselves in the craft. Because without this craft and without each and every person in it, there is no rural carrier. Step up and help us help you.
Thank you. Bill?
Well, aside from my opening rant in regards to union, non-union members, I'd just like to point out to the fact that in my office, I represent everybody equally. If management's in the wrong, I go to bat for you. Whether I like you personally or not, whether you're union or not, it doesn't matter. I'm your defense attorney, okay? And I go to bat with a big piece of lumber because I can't stand the way management tries to bully people. So whether you're in the union or not, you get the same representation from me. Whether I like you or not, you get the same representation because of the fact that I'm defending the craft. And as long as I do that job, nobody can ever say, well, Bill doesn't like me or we don't get along. Yeah, I don't care. I set aside all personal likes and dislikes when it comes to defending the craft. That's what I'm paid to do. That's what I do. And nobody does it better than me. I mean, I file more paperwork than the Brazilian rainforest cut down, okay? Thank God for laser printers.
I still want to get you a crown that says Grievance King on it. I mean, that's just my goal.
But, in all truth, folks, the job will pay you for the effort you put into it. If you don't put any effort into it, then you can't expect much, okay? And you're doing a disservice to yourself, to your family, to the craft, and to the person who follows behind you. And that's not fair. Nothing else in the world. I always try to be fair. And I want everybody to get as much as possible they can out of their career. I want them to be able to go home every night safely. You're the most important delivery of the day. And enjoy the efforts that you had and the opportunity that you have to provide for your family and for yourself for future. And that future will only get better as long as you participate, as long as you get involved, and as long as you put some effort into the opportunity presented to you. And all you have to do is reach out and grab it. That's all you have to do. If you don't know something, guess what? Ask somebody. We're right there. We're willing to help you. There's people in your office that you can't talk to. There's people in the office you can talk to. And if nothing else, there are plenty of websites with social media to seek help, to seek information, to get educated. Put some effort into your job. What was that?
You also have access to your district reps and union representatives aside from your office.
Yes. But, folks, make the effort. Go out there, have a good week, be safe, carry your discretion, but
Supposedly.
but don't overdo it.
I have to agree with everything everybody has said this evening. I'm just going to put the toss out there that I am going to be looking to do a series for RCAs coming up in the future, hopefully closer than further away. I'm still in the planning processes of what I want to do for that. I'm going to reach out to those RCAs that are listening. If you want to be involved, please send us a message, and I'll get back to you on that and see where we're going to go from there. But on that note, everybody have a safe Monday tomorrow, and we'll be back next week.
And remember, carrier discretion.
Have a good night, everybody.